How many of you have ever faced rejection in your life? Heard a no that stung much more than you anticipated it to? Maybe this could have been a job that you didn't get, a relationship that just didn't end up working out, or in this case, a role that you auditioned for that you didn't end up getting. Now, instead of thinking of this as a negative, take a moment to imagine for me. Instead of that door closing, it's just a small push to something new and bigger. Would you believe me if I told you that every single rejection that we face in this life serves as a stepping stone? A greater opportunity for discovery of a completely new version of yourself? Rejection. We've all felt rejection at some points in our lives. Being told no can feel final, like failure, like the end of a story that you thought was ultimately your story to tell. But don't worry. What if I told you that that closed door was not the end by any means, not even close? What if I told you that it was a part that was played? A very well-disguised detour. One that redirected you to a new role, purpose, and completely new version of yourself that you hadn't ever imagined. For the rest of this talk, I want to take you backstage with me. Not only into the world of auditions and callbacks and all of the craziness that comes along with musical theater, but into the shift in mindset that makes rejection turn into something beautiful. Redirection. Whether you've stood on the stage or stood in silence after experiencing a closing door, I can surely promise you this. This story is as much yours as it is mine to tell, and I am so excited for you to discover what is waiting behind your next door. I'm Arianna Arocho, an actress and musical theater performer, and I've had a number of doors shut on me to the point where I thought the echo of that closing was going to follow me forever. There have been a number of times where I questioned if I was going into the right industry or if I truly belonged. But the plot twist here is this. Every no that broke my heart also rebuilt me as a person. It rebuilt me into a stronger and braver me. I recently went through the grueling and exhausting musical theater college audition process, which was truly a roller coaster. And just to give you some background as to what I mean by roller coaster, not only did I have to apply through the Common App to every college that I wanted to apply to, I also had to travel to each individual school to do an in-person audition, which was insane, but I'll spare you the details. A special and dreadful part of this process is what is called pre-screens, videos that you have to submit to a college in order to be considered to attend an in-person callback. One yes would be followed a few hours later by a no, and one no would be followed a few hours later by a yes. Just to give you the inside scoop, I received a pre-screen rejection from the 98th ranked musical theater program in the United States. A few months later, I received a pre-screen yes and overall acceptance into the 4th ranked musical theater program in the United States, which I now have the privilege of attending for the next 4 years. Now, as a younger performer, I've learned to live in the in-between space, the role and the rejection. However, what I've grown to discover is that each no just simply means not yet. In the musical theater world, rejection is not common, it's constant, unfortunately. Us actors pour our hearts and souls into each and every audition that we do, only to be told no over and over again. But shortly after, there is a yes, maybe even a long time after. You could be fresh out of college with your BFA, doing auditions over and over again and get your first job at 35 or 40 years old. That's just the unfortunate reality of this industry. But for me, some of the most powerful and life-changing roles and experiences in my life have come after a door was shut in my face because it only further pushed me to refine my craft and work harder than I was already working. Now, just to give you a quick look at what my audition journey looked like this year, just so you can truly understand what I'm trying to say to you. I ended up applying to 21 schools in total due to the extremely competitive nature of a musical theater major. I failed 7 pre-screens, passed 10 pre-screens, and then 4 of my colleges didn't require a pre-screen, so I could just immediately go in for an audition. Ultimately, I was accepted into 7 BFA programs and accepted into 2 BA programs. Now, just to get a little specific about schools that I applied to, NYU was my dream school since June of 2024, one of the schools in which I received a no from. I envisioned myself going to NYU for the longest of time, and obviously, as one could imagine, when I received that rejection, it felt like the world was going to end. Similar to NYU, Penn State and Syracuse University also had my heart. These were actually 2 pre-screens that I ended up passing and getting invited to the college for an audition, which I was super excited about. But now for Syracuse specifically, I was called into the room, sang my songs, did my monologue, received some feedback, did them over again, moved on with my life. A few minutes later, I was called back into the room by the adjudicators and asked to do my monologue one time over. Was this a good thing? Was this a bad thing? I really wasn't too sure at the time. Long story short, I was rejected and also received a rejection from Penn State. I truly felt like this was, like I was going to get denied from all the rest of the schools that I had auditioned for. It felt like it was the end. And I was so scared to check my emails. We all know those emails and love them. There's been an update to your application dashboard. We all love those, don't we? So I had so much fear within me to even check those emails because I just figured it was going to be yet another rejection letter due to the fact that these were 3 of my top schools. So these 3 rejections really hit hard, but I wish disappointed Arianna had gotten the opportunity to meet current Arianna because she had no idea what was waiting for her on the other side of that door. I once read something that a famous artist by the name of Carolyn Edlund once said. She stated, "Don't let the fear of rejection stop you. Instead of looking at what you have to lose, consider what you have to gain." And this really stuck with me as a performer and prospective BFA student. The lesson that I learned from her is one that I hope you walk away with today, which is that we all face small rejections each and every day, but taking chances is what makes us truly succeed. She specifically said, "With bigger risks, the stakes are higher and the reward is greater. Not receiving that acceptance or invitation can hurt, but you must take a chance in order to get closer to what you want." Upon all of my musical theater college rejections, and even going further, roles that I didn't get, at the time I had zero clue that these were not dead ends. It's funny how this whole industry works. We're taught to put our everything into our performances and leave it all on the stage with our acting, singing, dancing, vulnerability, and just everything in general. But then once you're finished, you can either never hear from them again or receive bad news. This happens more times than not, unfortunately, in this industry. And then some musical theater influencers that I even follow on social media have said that the silence in this industry almost starts to become a routine for them. But now, to go to the positive. I like to think of rejection personally in the performing arts industry as a crucial plot twist. Plot twists in every show or story are what make it interesting. In this case, rejection and plot twists make your story in life that much more interesting and unique to tell and special to tell. Now, do me a favor. Think of your favorite show, book, production, movie, whatever it may be for your personal interests. If everything was going perfectly from the very moment that you started, you'd very likely be extremely bored or extremely checked out by the middle of Act 1 or within the first 45 minutes or so if it's a movie or a book. The tension and the uncertainty that's built up and the obstacles that the characters face individually is what makes the successes that much more profound and that much more powerful. Life in the performing arts industry is a spitting image of this scenario that I just stated. Our paths are not at all linear by any means. Things change. There are those scenes and acts that we didn't necessarily expect to be in, but that detour caused us to be there. And there are those roles that we never thought that we'd play, but just so happened to bring out the absolute best in us. Arianna DeBose, one of my favorite actresses of all time, started her professional career as an ensemble member in the Broadway hit musical Hamilton. Then, fast forward a couple of years, she went on to play the iconic role of Anita in West Side Story, receiving the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Recently, in an interview with Drew Barrymore, she stated, and I'll cut it down a little bit, "You gotta knock. If I had not gotten over my own fears, if I had let that keep me from walking through the door, we wouldn't be sitting here. Not trying is just not an option anymore." So, the next time that you experience rejection, take a moment and pause. Let the audience sit and wait for a moment. Don't rush to make a fix or immediately brush it off. Let it sit with you for a second. Learn from the experience and move forward with clarity, strength, and resilience. 3 values that I hold near and dear to my heart in my daily life and even when preparing to be on the stage. Because honestly, here's the reality. You have every right to feel disappointed, but you're not to let that feeling of disappointment define the next steps in your career. And you are to keep going. You now get to audition again, try again, whatever it may be for your personal life situation. You get to enter a brand new door knowing full well that your story has just begun and is still being written. What's waiting for you on the other side of that no could be the best thing that has ever happened to you. So, just remember, rejection is not the end. It is a beautifully and amazingly disguised beginning of your script. Thank you.